So what we learned is, after losing more goats than I would really want to admit, that my name is John and this is my wife, Mary. We are on an homesteading journey together, and we are just blessed. So this is the Homesteading Chef channel. My name is Jonathan, of course, and I'm the chef. And then don't let her fool you. She also throws down in the kitchen quite well. And yeah, today we have an amazing topic. Let's get right into it. 5 things that we wished we knew when we were homesteading. These are things that new homesteaders need to know before getting into homesteading.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go right off the bat. We're gonna go strong. I'm gonna lead with you. What's your first one?
Well, some of these things, we did listen to the YouTubers. We did watch all the videos and we read the books, and they all say, don't do too much too fast. And what did we do?
The first thing we did was do too much too fast.
And what that leads to is improper infrastructure, or you're not ready, or you find goats on Facebook and boom, you're over there, or Craigslist, there's puppies on sale. So here across the street. And then all of a sudden Tractor Supply has chicks on clearance, $1 a pop. I'm going to get 10 more of those bad boys. You get home, there's no shed for the goats. There's no brooder room in your brooder that you already have set up for your chicks.
Right.
And you don't have the fencing allotted for it. So tell us a bit about what we did wrong with Vinny and Mario, our first 2 goats.
So we got really excited. We were young and dumb, and we were
still young.
Yeah, we're still spring chickens, but we were excited about homesteading. And so we had a lot of land to clear out. So the first things that we brought on was goats. 2 pygmy goats, pygmy,
I don't know,
fainting, Nigerian. They were mutts.
Yeah.
But they were Vinny and Mario. We gave them gangster names. We came home and we had nothing. We had nothing ready for them. There was
no idea what we were thinking.
We didn't even have a collar. We had nothing. We ended up having to go to Tractor Supply, get dog collars, and then put a chain on them and tie them around trees while we stayed up till midnight putting up brand new fencing, just enough to cover in this little pole barn that we had.
Right.
And so we spent all of this effort, probably 7 or 8 hours, basically scrambling, and it really still wasn't enough. They didn't have fresh grass or hay or anything in there. We barely even had feed for them. We had a couple of, we went at the last minute. We got in at Tractor Supply at probably like 8:59, and they close at 9 o'clock, and snuck in there to get just a little bit of alfalfa pellets.
Yeah.
So, what other projects have we done that are not so bueno when it comes to our planning? Because we've got multiple. This is something that
I'm still wanting to stay on that one. Okay. Too much too fast. Okay. Well, the chickens. We had this cute little chicken coop that held 9 chickens. And 4 months later, how many chickens do you think we had?
Oh, we had well over like 30. Yeah, I know it was well over 30.
We just got really excited.
Someone gets really excited at the Tractor Supply and the co-op when they hear the sound of baby chicks. It's as if all of the girls in our household just magically go back there. It's like a siren's call. They can't help themselves.
We can't help ourselves. They're so cute and fluffy.
So when doing too fast, I think there's a couple of pieces in there. I think there is obviously kind of think it through before you go and buy it. I made this mistake just this week. This is the pot calling the kettle black here. I
was not going to call you out.
You can call me out. It is what it is. I came home with 6 Cooney Coon pigs this past week. We were trading away
3 puppies.
I got rid of 3 puppies. We went to a trade day, came home, and surprised my beautiful wife with 6 Cooney Coon puppies. And I think my wife was going to. What did I say?
You said Cooney Coon puppies.
Cooney Coon puppies. I came home with 6 Cooney Coon pigs. And it was, I think, a shock for my wife because we have a space in the barn, which they're tiny. So they're going to have to go in the barn for now anyways. But I still don't have the actual physical structure built out for them to go into the pasture.
I mean, if they go into the pasture when we're done with the other pigs, that would be just fine. But it's just, we weren't really ready for it. We get excited, and people get excited when they homestead. We really want to do all the things, and we start doing things well. and you see things become successful, like, hey, I can do this. I really can. And I can add more and I can do this. I know what I'm doing now. And so you get excited as a homesteader and you get really into it. And then you just go for it and you do things on a whim. And
I think there's this certain romanticism that happens about homesteading, that you could just do whatever you want, when you want. It's this level of freedom that you get because, that's kind of what homesteading is all about, is about personal freedom.
Down to the corporate world, or not tied down to someone else's schedule.
Right. Yeah. And so next thing you know, you've got like 150 animals and, a 16-foot pole barn to house them all. And it goes really fast. Like, it escalates very quickly.
Yeah.
So what's our number 2 biggest mistake that we have made on the homestead?
I think ours was, I didn't put them in order over there. So if you're looking over there, babe, I didn't put them in order on the sheet. So the second one was the gardening. We had started off with tilling and doing rows in the garden. And honestly, in this Mississippi heat, without a tractor, isn't really feasible.
Correct.
And so with you had started, you're in a much more flexible job now, but you had started off working in, you were working restaurant jobs, hotel jobs, regular restaurant jobs. They go till 2:00 in the morning sometimes because they have bars attached to them and they still need food going out and somebody doesn't show up. And so all of a sudden you're a dishwasher.
Somebody always doesn't show up.
And so you're doing all of these other things. And then you come home and you're mentally, physically exhausted and can't always help me. Yes, we have 6 kids. No, they can't all push a tiller. Tilling is not easy stuff because a lot of this is uphill and downhill. So the downhill is great, but nobody wants to do that uphill work. So tilling that garden was just not always good. And then pulling the weeds and putting down the cloth, we spend hundreds of dollars every year in trying to do that. And when we started moving over to a no-till garden 2 years ago, I think, is that right?
Yeah, we moved over 2 years ago.
I think that not only saved my time and energy, but me not nagging or begging or requesting for help from other people and things like that. And it was easy. It's just like, hey, babe, all we have to do today is go put manure from our barn into the garden beds, rake it in, add a couple bags of fresh dirt, and we're going to be good to go this year. Think everybody overall liked that. I think that was a really easy plan. We snagged some homeschool teenagers from down the road and said, hey, help us dump these couple buckets in there. And it was pretty much ready to go. We just had to let it sit for a month or two. And then we were good. Our garden is fantastic. We're not getting any younger, so we don't have to bend over.
Yeah.
Pulling weeds and trying to fetch critters out of the garden as much. And we don't have to till.
So what we've done is go from a crop row system to a raised garden / no-till system.
Right.
So we spent our time building properly some raised garden beds. And I like the ones we did this year with the concrete cinder blocks. Shout out to my dad, because he kind of did that first. And I totally snuck that from him after seeing how successful his garden was doing. So we've switched our things over to these raised garden beds, and we're doing maybe 20% of the size garden that we've done in the past, but we are probably tripling what our yield that we're doing,
because I can focus my time and my energy on a smaller space, and we can focus the fertilizing or the weed picking or whatever needs to be done, trimming the leaves off of the tomato plants and all of those little things that you go through in your garden every day. Walk through it and you do those little things. It's a little bit more concentrated. Yes, it's a little bit more chaotic if you go out there and look at it. Maybe 2 weeks ago, I think it was kind of chaos. There was like pepper plants and green beans and things everywhere, but it's settled in, and I really like the way it's going. Love the pole beans that we've got going.
Yes.
I love the tomato plants, and I don't know if you walked out there, you're going to have to send them a picture, but what my idea is for the pole beans to grab a hold of those huge tomato plants that we get, those sun golds.
Yep.
The sun golds get really tall. They get taller than me.
They get like 12 feet. We've had them completely wrap over the top of the cattle pen.
Right. And so the idea is that these pole beans or rattlesnake beans was intertwined and grab a hold of them and provide that trellis work between that and the cattle panels and propel them upwards, but give them structure. And a lot of that is happening.
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy with that. I'm excited.
So there's a lot of emphasis on vertical. So there's a lot of emphasis on growing up. Yes. Instead of everything being flat on the ground in rows, everything is about going up.
The cucumbers.
So yeah, cucumbers, fantastic. Beans, tomatoes. I think we've even got a squash or two that's pretty close to that. And
maybe,
yeah,
I don't know.
So we actually had some seeds from last year's garden to kind of pop back in, and that is always fun. You know, the kind of little stragglers that are throughout the garden. It kind of makes things for a lot of fun. A giant sunflower popped up out of nowhere. We did not plant any this year because we were out of seeds, and the ones that we wanted were out of stock. So we ended up not getting sunflowers, yet we've got probably a sunflower head that's at least a 1.5 feet, 2 feet in diameter.
It's gotta be 20 feet tall.
It's crazy tall.
It's a giant sunflower. It is the biggest one.
Towers over everything.
It's right there. And it's just way up there.
So let's talk about our third one.
Okay. Number 3, we're going to talk about the animals.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the proper kind of animals for what you're wanting to do. If you're wanting dogs to protect your property, this one kind of dog is called a GSD. If you want a livestock guardian dog to guard your livestock, you want to get a proper kind. And I should have done more research because I can't remember all of the different kinds of livestock guardian dogs right now. But you definitely want to do your research, and you don't want a German Shepherd guarding your chickens. You don't want a lab guarding your chickens. They might not eat them, but that's what they were bred for years and years and years to do. They were bred, labs were born and bred to
retrieve fowl.
So if you got yourself a couple of runner ducks to pick at your garden, they're not going to last very long with a beautiful lab. Labs and German Shepherds are phenomenal dogs.
So we got a German Shepherd in our house.
I love
but I wouldn't trust him out.
I grew up with a lab.
The pasture.
I would have never put my childhood lab in the chicken run with her chickens. She would have gone nuts. She'd been like, hey, it's party time. Not with just that, but we're going to talk about goats, sheep, ducks, chickens. What kind of chickens are you wanting to do?
Yeah. A lot of it has to do. I like the goats. I mean, the goats is one that really impacted us a lot. Yes. Our first 2 goats was Vinny and Mario, and Vinny and Mario were indestructible, and we didn't understand why at the time. We just thought, oh man, goats are so easy to have. We should get more goats. So the next thing you know, we have Zanines.
Too much, too fast.
We had Zanines. We had
Alpines.
We had full-blooded Nubians. We had all of these amazing large milk breed goats.
Huge goats.
And they're all great goats. The problem is that where we are in Mississippi is not conducive to that, conducive to that breed, especially on the property that we had. We had a large creek that ran through it. There was lots of water. There was lots of moisture on the property. So it created a bad environment for that breed. Even here in middle Mississippi, now that we've moved from our original property, it could still be very difficult because we go through seasons of high amounts of rain. So what we learned is, after losing more goats than I would really want to admit, that breed plays a huge factor in what's successful on homesteads. And so what's successful here in Mississippi and middle Mississippi might not be what's best for you in the Northeast or out West. What it amounts to is we needed a breed that was more tolerant of very humid conditions, a lot of moisture. They're not going to get hoof rot very easy. They're not going to be susceptible to certain parasites like barber pole. And so what we ended up finding through my oldest daughter, Eliza, I'm going to give her credit, was she found a breed called mini Nubians that mixed the Nigerian dwarfs, which was kind of like our Mario and Vinny, that are indestructible, all the way, and are mixed with the full-bred Nubians. So they're kind of a 3/4 to half size Nubian, and they have all the disease tolerance and heat tolerance that we need here in middle Mississippi.
Of the Nigerian dwarf, but all the milk of the Nubians. So it was a great mix. Again, you want to make sure that you're getting the right sheep. If you're into sheep, there's hair sheep, there's meat breeds, and there's actually milking breeds for sheep also. So you can look into all 3 of those kinds of sheep. You don't want to get a hair sheep if you live in South Mississippi. It's probably not a very great environment for those.
Covered in red clay.
Right.
We have white sheep, and they are always dirty.
So are we ready for number 4?
Let's do number 4.
All right, we're going to do time management.
Time management. Now, this is one that might get personal for some folks, because this is kind of an inward reflection, but people don't, I don't think people completely put time management in their thought process when they're getting into homesteading and building out their homestead.
Yeah. So feeding chickens once a day, not too shabby. Slinging some oats out for the goats, not too bad. But when it comes into, you know, have you planned the time to check their famaches on the goats? Have you trimmed their hooves? Are those daily little checks or weekly checks that you want to do with them? The chickens, do they have gnats? Do they have worms? Do they need to be wormed? Also, you know, do they have the calcium required, or are they free range? Are you going to be worried about the oyster shells? Do they have enough? Things like that. Dust bathing, do you have a little space for that if they're in a fencing? You want to check for all of those things. And then when it comes to the gardening or the milk production or the meat production, so we've got 6 pigs out there that are ready for butchering. But my sweet, amazing partner in crime here has brought home so much food lately that we don't have room in our freezers. So time management comes into play here. So it's our job to empty out those freezers, find a different way to put those up so that we can have space for those pigs. Time. When are we going to do it? We have to map out and plan out the time it takes to butcher them down, the time it takes to cure the meats, the time it takes to put them up, whether it's cryovac, whether it's drying them out in some beef jerky, whether it's canning them.
Yeah.
However we're going to do that, we have to plan that time management up. You've got milking goats. That's great. You've got milk coming in. You got your first set of twins. You're getting 2 gallons of milk a day. Now what? 2 gallons of milk is a lot, even for a family of 8. We're not huge milk drinkers though, but what do you do with 2 gallons of milk? You know, so we would make cheese. With the whey, we would make whey bread or pancakes, yogurt, and other things like that, and we would share it also. So some of that whey can also go to the chickens. It can go to the pigs. It can go to the dogs. It's super healthy, super nutritious, almost like buttermilk. Now, when it comes to the gardening, have you planned those times also? Have you planned that? What do you do with too much fruit and vegetables coming out of the garden?
And that's, I said, this time of year, our time is vastly spent on canning and processing and storing a lot of food. And so we are probably spending 2 hours a day on average, because some days we spend like 12 and other days it's like 30 minutes. But I would say on average, we're spending about 2 hours a day processing all this food. And that's great, because that means we're going to have a year's supply of food. I feel like this really is the best garden that we've ever produced. I think we really are going to have a year's supply of food. We're going to do probably some meat chickens on the back end of summer. Yes. And we'll finish off these pigs. Probably as soon as it can cool down, we'll probably end up breaking these pigs down. It's 109-degree heat index outside right now.
It's nasty.
The meat would literally spoil before I could even get it hung.
We probably wouldn't even be able to keep ice in the coolers.
But I think that goes down to time management as well. Again, I think that reflects on me, not you. We had some things come up in life, and I'm really excited about those. I keep hinting at it, that we've got a big announcement to make, but unfortunately we can't make that big announcement until next year.
We're going to get confetti.
We're going to what?
We're going to get confetti for the announcement.
Can we do that? I think that'd be fun. Yeah, we should get confetti.
Confetti going to go like that.
It's huge.
We'll get sparkling cider.
It's can I say nationally huge? Am I allowed to say that?
Is it worldwide?
I believe it's worldwide news.
Could be worldwide.
It affects millions of people. I'll put it that way.
But there's billions of people on this planet now.
Maybe more. It's going to be exciting.
And it's pretty cool.
But we had I had to go away and do a project for a couple of weeks where I was obviously away from the farm. And so that delayed that butchering process. And when I got returned back home, it's already over 100 degrees in Mississippi, and butchering down animals in this heat. It's not just that it's miserable for me, because obviously it would be, but it's also just the conditions. The meat would spoil so fast. Yeah. So we're going to have to hold on to these because we have poor time management on the front end.
Not on purpose, though. That was an accidental time management. We've hit mine. I think you had one that we did not hit.
We dabbled in it a little bit, and I think this is a number 6, an extra one. This would be 5.
I did.
Look at that.
I had good things on the other side. On the flip side of my page, I had good things.
Oh, gotcha.
Things that we did right.
There we go. So I think the biggest thing that I see, the worst mistake that homesteaders make now is that we have this ability to not plan our infrastructure. Infrastructure is probably the most important part of homesteading. It's definitely the most expensive part of homesteading. It's this big one-time investment that you got to make. And we did really good at our first homestead about finding free this and free parts, free wood, free fencing.
That recycling place that you could literally, like, people would just leave their recycling.
Technically illegal, but everybody.
I didn't know it was illegal until somebody came and told me, okay? So it's not my fault. But it was huge.
It's frowned upon. I don't think it's illegal. It's frowned upon.
It's frowned upon. But they weren't picking it up. It would sit there for weeks, like free pallets, free fencing, T-posts. We were in an area rates and everything.
We were in an area that was under like rapid development. What was farmland is being rapidly converted to it's rapidly being converted to apartments and buildings for the university, Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And so they're just taking these fencing and T-posts and all of the stuff, and they're just dumping them at the site. They're not even putting it in the dumpster. They're just sitting it beside it. And so we would just kind of roll up there. We had to go buy it anyways on our way home from town. So we would just kind of swing in and kind of take a glance, and then things just may or may not have appeared in the back of my truck.
Right. The time the Coca-Cola factory was deciding that they were going from wood pallets to plastic pallets.
Yeah,
they got rid of all us. And I was just happened to be driving by after going to the library or something with the kids. And then I saw them. It said there was a sign that said free pallets. And I immediately called you work. I was like, hi, we need your truck now.
Yeah.
And you were like, what? I'm like, I'm bringing my van and we're switching cars. There's free pallets. So we loaded truckloads.
We built an entire garden out of free pallet wood.
A whole garden. And that thing was a huge garden. It was really big.
So I think, again, when we talk about infrastructure, it doesn't have to be crazy expensive pole barns. You know, we've got a nice barn here that is built by the previous owners. I'm not sure I would have been able to afford to build a barn that nice. It's nice to have, but it's not the only thing that you have options. The big thing is that you're planning it out and taking the time to physically map out, go to Google Map, search your property, print it out, and physically draw on paper. It's also easy to do if you've got an iPad, you could screenshot your property. We did that, where we screenshot the property, and then with the Apple Pencil and the iPad, kind of draw up what we were going to do.
And we did that here, and then we decided not to do what we were doing. So it's okay.
It's going to be some adaptations. What you're wanting to do is map things out better. I think what happens is that, you know, we made mistakes even on this property a little bit. We wanted our chickens to have a lot of free range. Like on our last property, the chickens had probably a whole acre worth of property that was fenced in and 8-foot fencing, that they were very well protected. Overall, we didn't have, once we kind of pulled the other trees off of that fence line and we prevented the raccoons from jumping from tree to tree in.
And we taught our dogs.
And we had the dogs. And so we kind of eliminated a lot of our problems, but we wanted the same thing here. And then it just, again, different properties have different issues. And then every chicken that we put on that side of the property managed to die. We did have bird flu roaming through Mississippi. A lot of the Tyson and Sanderson farm chickens were slaughtered out here. Hundreds of thousands of chickens were lost out here. Because we live kind of in Tyson and Sanderson farm country. And that's a story for another day, but I think, it kind of does it definitely plays a part in how you homestead. It's what's around you. But with homesteading and infrastructure, it's all about just kind of giving yourself a pre-planning. What we've realized is that we actually really enjoy our chickens beside our garden.
It's fun. They wait for us by the fencing.
They do.
They see me coming and they all haul off to the little corner that meets my garden, and then I chunk them the rotten tomatoes or tomatoes that have fallen down the ground, some with worms in them, and they just go to town. Cucumbers, rotten squash for some reason, that piece didn't go, I don't know, according to plan. So it's just not my squash, it's the chicken squash.
So we're building compost essentially right beside the garden. So that's going to help us out next year, that we can scoop off that top layer and put it into our garden beds and let it process down and break down. And so, you know, there's constant things that we've made some big edits. We still have the big, massive coop over that's now into the pig area that's there, that's kind of just used for storage. But it's still, I mean, it's part of our infrastructure. So maybe a little bit better infrastructure management on our part would have prevented us from spending probably what, $2,000 or $3,000 on that coop, the big coop.
I don't think we spent that much.
At least $1,500 for the all the panels and all.
Maybe,
but it still would have saved us money. It would have saved us. It comes out of, she does not understand the concept of money. Apparently, it just appears. It just appears in our. It just appears in our bank accounts. And Lord,
I didn't price it out. I wasn't part of the pricing and the money stuff. I was on the roof in the middle of June, screwing panels in. That's all I remember. I was like, God, please don't let me fall down.
It's hot. Well, with that said, those were our 5 things that setters need to work on. Again, doing too much too fast, building in your infrastructure, making sure that you're using the right breeds, understanding like your garden needs, like how you're going to run your garden and your management of that garden. Again, I recommend a no-till system. That was number 4. What's the 5th one?
Structure. Did you already say that one?
I said infrastructure.
Oh, time management.
Time management?
Duh.
Okay. Well, hey, this is the Homesteading Chef channel. My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Maryeve. We're super glad that you're here. If you haven't had the chance yet, please, please, please make sure you hop over and you hit subscribe first. In the links down below, you will find a link over to you'll find a link over to our webpage. And through that webpage, you'll find a link that will
2 links.
Jesus Christ.
One for the webpage. Hey, so if you go to the link below, you're going to go to our website. Website has great information where you can sign up for a monthly newsletter that'll get you great, super cool, super important, backside, super secretive information.
So we're super excited about that. Thank you. Thank you for that hype up. So yeah, we have a once a month newsletter that goes out and it gives you behind the scenes. You also get exclusive content. You get entire recordings of podcasts because these obviously get snipped up. So we put a lot of the unedited or less edited podcasts. If it's just a bad edit, sometimes you gotta edit a little bit. Yeah, you got somebody in the background. Hey, Martha, you know. Yeah. So with that said, it is a pleasure. We look forward to seeing and talking to you next time here on Homesteading Chef.